name is Kathy Brown, if you don't know, and I'm really happy to see you guys. There's some of you that I feel so sad that I can't see you more often. Our mission is called Cultivate Honduras. This is what you probably think of right now when you're thinking of Honduras. So this is what we think of when we think of Honduras. This is La Tigre waterfall, and it's beautiful there, and we love Honduras. One of the things that we've done over the past 10 years in Honduras is I've had pastors that come to us they want accountability, they want somebody to be accountable to, they want encouragement, they want to have somebody to talk to about stuff besides their immediate family. They don't really want to talk about, you know that as pastors, you don't want to talk about everything with your congregation. So the one on the upper right-hand corner is Pastor Johnny with Nathan there, and this was a great story. If you want to know more about it, you can ask me about it later. But he had a falling into some sin problems, and he will be the first one to tell you. And him in the purple shirt again, he came back to us, and God did a work of restoration, and he was gracious to use us in his life. Next slide. Another thing that we do is feed people. Miguel right there on the burro is was the first guy we worked with. We ran into him really early on, and he's been praying because he wanted to feed people in his area. And so we planted corn on his mountain. We fed 7 churches for 2 years with this corn and other vegetables that were on the mountain. Is the rooftop garden that we had in Tegucigalpa, and we fed people from that garden too. It's a feeding center that we had in a church. On the far right there, after we left La Roca, some kids kept coming to Eva because they wanted food. And so for a while, she was feeding kids at her house. So that was really neat. So feeding people has been a big thing. Next slide. Educating people. So this is, in here, Nathan's teaching a young boy how to build a table, and he was teaching carpentry. Educating people is a big thing. Next slide. So this is me teaching Streams 101 at a church there, and we ministered in several different churches. Nathan there in his first time preaching in Spanish. We lead worship in different churches and conferences. And in the slide there that just went up, the picture that just went up, Nathan was the interim pastor for a church that lost its pastor, and they asked him to come even though he could barely speak Spanish. It was kind of funny. But so we were there for about a year, and then we found someone within the church that God was calling to be the pastor, and we handed it over to him. Then another thing that we've done is taking in kids. We took in that girl there with the baby. Her name is Mixie. The baby is Jair. And Isa there in the sweater. And his brother Marvin. When Marvin came to us, he was 14 years old, and I think he weighed 45 pounds. So his mother had abandoned him. And so we took him in for a while. The girl there lives with us right now. Her name is Marisela. She's Herson's sister. Herson is on the left-hand corner there. So we work with pastors. We minister in some churches. We feed people, educate people, and take in kids. And that's kind of still what we do. Next, this is worship nights that we've had in our house. That's where we were living when you came. We will have worship, and then we'll minister to people. So about 4.5 years ago, we moved to a place that's named Villa Irma. There's a sign over the gate that says Villa Irma, and that's our house right there. And our mission is that it said on the previous slide, healing the land and raising up the sons and daughters of God. And so this is the healing the land part. Marisela is there. She has oil, and we're going around anointing the borders of the land with oil and praying for it. Recently, we've had witchcraft in our area, and we've been having to come against that. Also, working hard on the land is a big part of healing the land. So that's Nathan working with kids in the area, and we let them swim in the pool. When they're done working, they're really happy about that. Upper right-hand corner, Nathan's working, there with a farmer, and he works with farmers, talking to them about better farming techniques, and also just believing God that he's going to supply what they need. We have one farmer that I didn't get a picture of that I want to tell a little brief story about. He came to Nathan and he's like, what can I do to make things better? He was harvesting beans twice a year. He had just enough to feed his family. And Nathan's like, two things. You need to ask the Lord when to plant, because you can plant more often than twice a year in Honduras. The land is fertile and we have good weather usually. And the other thing is, believe that when you put your hand to the plow, when you work, God is going to bless the work of your hands. And so he prayed for him. There's more to the story, but what ended up happening was that year, he went from 2 harvests a year, he went to 7 harvests the next year. Now he has 20 men working for him. He had nobody working for him before. So his family's prospering, and so it's really happy. We're really happy to see what God's doing in this area. The witches are not happy. That's why we're dealing with witchcraft, because they've been telling people when to plant. And now people are coming to us saying, when should I plant? And Nathan says, you pray and you ask God when you should plant. So we donate produce to other ministries. Lower left-hand corner, that's Scarlett and David with Hope at Hand Ministries. They bring breakfast and the Bible to 3 different schools in the mountains. The lower right, and this one that just came up, is other ministry called Heart of Christ, and they are a crisis center for women and children who are needing to hide out. And so we take them fruits and vegetables to help them. Lots of oranges. Upper left hand there is a camp that they have 9 camps a year for the disabled. It's the only ministry that has camps for the disabled in Honduras. And then that's the last 2 that are coming up, this one and this one. Those help kids off the street in Tegucigalpa. And we're looking at possibly taking in some kids out of that last ministry after they graduate from high school. Some kids are going off to college, but not everybody's cut out for college. So we would be training them Nathan would be training them in farming and carpentry and seeing where they fit in. Raising up the sons and daughters of God. Harrison lived with us, and he worked with us for probably 6 years. And he lived with us for 4, and he went off, and that's his new wife, and has the baby. And that's his sister Maricela that lives with us now. She's ministering in a hospital there in the lower left-hand corner. She loves ministering, so that's cool. Nathan talking to the area boys that work with him, and in the upper left-hand corner there, that's Danielle. It's our new boy. He's coming to live with us for a year and finish out his high school. I work part-time in a bilingual school in our area. It's the first time I've worked at an actual Honduran business, so now I'm having culture shock. And this is a worship night at our property that we have now. And we, along with another couple, started a house church that's for missionaries and their families or their households. And so upper right-hand corner, that's in our house church. And then in the top, that's me with a couple of ladies from the area where we are. We were working with a high school that day. So just different things that we're doing. So in the future, that's me and my husband. In the future, we hope to continue to restore the property that we're living in and hopefully purchase it so that we can improve the existing structures and build more. It wouldn't be good. We've had several missionaries that improve properties that they're renting, and then the owner says, this looks good, I think I'll sell it. And so it's really not a good idea to do a lot of improvement of the existing structures until after we can purchase it. It's $600,000, so that would be a God thing, total God thing. Take on some boys who are aging out of youth programs, as I've said before, some kids that aren't maybe not cut out for college, but they need a way to make a living for their families too. Expand more into the community, especially serving farmers and their families. Open a vocational training facility. We have a sponsor in California that's really pushing for that, who would like to see us kind of formalize things. And then get into beekeeping as a means of income for families in the region. Nathan and the boys have built some beehives, and so we're waiting on the core to go in the beehives, and then we'll start with that. And then It says, start a house church ministering to spiritually displaced people. When I say spiritually displaced, I'm mainly talking about those farmers that Nathan's working with. There's a lot of men who really love Jesus, actually, but the churches are kind of rejecting them because they like to play billiards, they have a tattoo, they play cards, they drink a beer now and then or whatever, and that makes them unfit for going to church. Or they work sometimes on Sundays because on a farm the work doesn't really stop. So we would like to be able to serve those people more. And so in our house church, we're all kind of looking toward our communities thinking, well, we can expand what we're doing into each of the communities where we live. So what I would really like from you guys is prayer. We can really tell. I don't know if anybody's been on the mission field, and some of you are from the mission field. You can tell when people are praying. There's a sense of the covering of people when you're praying, when they're praying. So please pray for us. Continue in relationship with us. We love to hear from people. Every once in a while we get phone calls from people, and that's so nice. And if the Lord would lead you to give, I can give you my email address, and you can PayPal us or whatever, or you can go through a couple of different channels. And then if you really would like to come see us in Honduras, we would love that. And especially, we've had some teams come down and do ministries in schools and churches and stuff, and we would like to actually get some things done around the farm that we don't have enough hands to do. So if anybody that would like to do work teams, that would be great. So final slide. This is Nathan in front of a Jesus March a few years ago, and that's the kind of caravan that we would like to see. Not the first kind, but this kind that wants to make a difference in the communities where they actually live and not leave. So that's about it.